Welcome, my friends. This is Maniacal Incorporated, and here is our son, Iosef, who inherited Upper Lorraine, I think 2 episodes back. He's 13 years of age at the moment, and 3 years ago, he executed somebody. Okay, he was a peasant leader, but our son, as you can see, has fallen under the sway of the Catholics, and I think they're putting bad ideas into his head. We had hoped that his ascension would secure insular Christianity in this region. I'm almost certain that I was raising him, but he is now under a Catholic nun, and he's getting strange ideas into his head. In the last episode, we made a massive push into southern England. I think we took 10 counties in the last episode, and 3 the one before it, over a period of about 7 years. And we lost one of our knights because, of course, I gave his son land here, and because he is his son's primary heir, Ercaid has left the court as well and gone to join his son. So we need a new knight. Well, here's an interesting knight. Nat Friach. I remember our family, the Green Graffadorca. I've heard of them before. This is the deposed King of England, who attempted to stop our raiding armies in the south of England, or sorry, the north of England, towards the start of the last episode. He was deposed as King of England and as High Chief of Kent, and replaced with his brother. And he has left his brother's court. He is currently in King Duftuk's court, the King of Brittany, and I have started a scheme to sway him and invite him to Ireland, maybe get him some medical treatment for that gangrene. And if he joins us, we will obviously put him into the army and utilize him in our wars ahead and promise him the crown of England. Before we begin with today's episode, you might wonder, what's the justification for pushing into southern England? Up until now, I've always talked about reunifying land that was under the control of Courtship, and that's predominantly northern England. We can actually see that if we come to the culture map. You can see that northern England has a lot of Irish and indeed Norse influence, but that the southern regions are still holding on to Anglo-Saxon culture, even though there was a big line pretty much across the middle here that was occupied by Courtship. I think Ercaid still regards himself as the legitimate King of England. He is the king of this entire region, and he is simply continuing Quillen's conquests into the region to the south of the area that he had occupied. He does not view this as a reconquest. I've called it the Reconquest Part 2, but Ercaid doesn't consider it like that. I think he considers Moelón to be a traitor, and he considers himself as the rightful King of England, and he considers himself to be, at this moment in time, the King of England, and he's just simply finishing off the conquest until it comes to actually forcing or enforcing his authority over England. Like I said, it's been 7 years of continuous war. Here is a happy vassal in Connacht. This is what a happy vassal looks like. Minus 20 because we're tribal, minus 32 for offensive wars, minus 30 because of the high tribal authority while we are waiting to get across into the feudal age. The vassals are broken by continuous war, and we can't stop now. We will at least try and make one vassal like us a bit more. Here is the petty kingdom of Huiche, which is this region. Now we have driven out its holder into parts of Wessex, so we're going to usurp the title from him. And we will immediately come to one of his former vassals. He is an 8 in prowess. We could give it to this guy. See, would we get his father back? I don't think we would. I don't think we would. We're going to keep this guy happy. Well, we're going to try and keep him happy, and we will grant him. Look at this. You're a high chief now. With a -32 penalty to our vassals, a flat -62 to every single vassal. That's basically what we're looking at. Now would be a brilliant time to take a break. We can't. We can't. Here is the Duke of Cornwall. We have a bit of a problem. He's allied to England. And he can bring about 4,000 troops into this battle. But he has a bit of a problem, which is that he is a vassal of the King of Brittany, who is a bit weaker, but in a more concentrated fashion. If we had to go and take on England now, it would cause a bit of trouble for us. We're going to declare war. Conquer the Duchy of Cornwall. Cornwall. We're going to get a lot of pop-ups about prisoners and people accepting various different offers. I can't remember where we sent you. I think I just released a lot of people pretty much out of pity. Or because they were actually members of the courts of the two regions that we conquered in the last episode. So the Isle of Wight and Dorset. I thought it might be a bad idea to start executing their vassals or their courtiers. We've gotten the army up to a capacity of 5,500. I think in terms of alliances, we can put together about 11,000. We're still short of what Ercaid's father could put together. But we are looking at one of the greatest armies. One of the greatest military rulers that the kingdom has had. And I did think about it there recently. If only Ercaid had had his father's army. Oh my god, what he could have achieved. With any luck... no, there's no luck. With any luck, we should be able to deal with this before Brittany gets across. Now, we could siege down these two areas. Combine the army and send them across to the Isle of Wight. One of our wives has given us a daughter, Orla. We wrote to be strong and wise. We're a bit busy. The High King is leading the smaller army at Cornwall. I'd expect them to get the siege finished. Actually, we're making great progress. I've siege engineers leading both of the armies. The High King has the onagers, as always. Our dynasty has a child. I think this is a grandson. Here's our son, Colmon. And they have a daughter, Cainach. There you go. Few enough Irish High Kings have lived long enough to have grandchildren. Ruacón actually had great-grandchildren. He lived to see the birth of great-grandchildren. And it's amazing the life that he had. On one hand, it was great. On the other hand, what I tend to do is I look at people for the succession to the High Kingship who were either sons or grandsons of previous kings, and because Ruacón lived for so long, our options are very limited. It's actually very difficult when we see people around the place. Who are you? Who are you descended from? Oh, your great-grandfather was Moll Tolí. It's really hard to actually find somebody kind of fit for the succession, we'll say. That's the way that the succession tended to go in Ireland, and very long livid kings who lived for a very long period of time, or high kings, tended to actually cause a bit of trouble, just like we're seeing now. The forces of Brittany, they sped up that siege on the Isle of Wight. I'm going to pull these guys maybe into Dorset. Wait for this siege to finish off. I could actually switch the siege. You know what? I won't. It'll be nearly over by the time we pass them by. I'll bring them into Dorset, have them ready for whatever may come. Brittany could feasibly finish that siege and bring the army across to attack them. So we have lost the Isle of Wight. It's only a 4% penalty. And it looks like they are indeed. They're going to head for Dorset, I imagine. We'll be ready to move one of the two armies as quickly as possible. Is it Mancon? Commanding this army? It's Murdoch. Okay. So we've sieged Devon. We have our target. We could very well. I would rather get the High King in first. We're going to need these alliances shortly. Our mother-in-law has passed away, and we're going to renegotiate our alliance with our brother-in-law, the Count of Saarbrücken. I think our mother-in-law, was she a duchess? No, she wasn't. That's a big drop. I remember your mother had over 1,000 soldiers. If I'm looking at this correctly, the High King is going to go in first. That alliance has been reformed. A faction has fallen apart. The High King will go in first. And then the larger of our armies will come in. One of our daughters has come of age. She is a charismatic negotiator. She is being married into House Mons, heir to the county of Cambrai. They grow up so fast. The High King is leading a holding action. We're actually not doing too shabby, even before the arrival of our second army. Matt Strangi has been maimed and put in a mask. That's just made him even more Strangi. Okay. On the one hand, we dealt a hefty blow to their army. On the other hand, I don't know where that army is going now. Do we now have one large Breton army wandering around the place? We'll see how wise of an idea this is. The High King is going to be sent across to begin sieging down territory in Brittany itself. The larger army is going to siege back down the Isle of Wight, and then keep an eye on that Breton army. We're going to see where they actually go. If they also head across to Brittany, we will follow them. Here is an account of that last battle. There's poor old Mats. We managed to kill Murdoch, who I was given out about. Managed to kill one of their mayors. I was given out that he wasn't finishing the siege fast enough. And actually, where is he? Dovdaleha. Is he our eldest son? It's his first day on the job. 36 kills. Fair play to him. He's actually gone in ahead of Thaigmoor. Owen has even started to fall down the list. Is Owen being pushed out because of old age? That's beginning to affect him. Now my knights are getting old. Now when I don't have land to give them. We've gotten Nhat Freyach up to 100% by giving him 71 gold. And he still will not accept vassalization. So we're going to switch to our Anglo-Saxon Catholic Duke, who we gave some land to. So we're going to try and keep him happy. We're going to have to see what we're going to do here. We're seeing the Breton army is indeed heading across. Our own army is not going to be able to match it. Now would actually have been better if we'd left the High King to siege down this area, sent across our larger army. I think I might just send across both armies, or deal with Devon. What I didn't actually realise is that we managed to catch the Breton army as it was retreating onto the island. We're actually holding out, we were holding out well against them. It's turned against us. We killed their commander. It's going to affect us a bit, but let's see if we can get our other army in quickly and maybe hold this battle. We'd actually started off well against them. And I know we're going to have a penalty for disembarking. Matt Strangi has maimed somebody. But we do have 2,500 troops coming in against. There's 2 men holding the line just in time for the High King to come in. Just about. It was a costly day for Brittany. It was kind of a costly day for us as well. Because if we look at the 3 people who were killed, Fohorte killed this dude. If I am right. The Count of Nonce was killed by Fulcari. And this guy here, the Duke of Cornwall, was killed. We'd call him Sean. Sean of Surrey. My intention was to give the entire duchy to this guy. So I'm not too sure who it's gone to now. It's gone to his son, Flahertuch, who is in our prisons. So we're kind of preparing him. We've broken the news that his father is dead. And we're now preparing him to rule as Duke when we take this region. I didn't actually realize it. You might have seen the pop-up there at the top. We are a celebrity. We have reached the living legend. And we've also reached faction time. Factions are going to start pushing demands. The Saxon Catholic populace. So we're dealing with the Duke that we just created and one of the Countesses of, actually, the Isle of Wight, if I'm correct. So they're not yet in a position. They have, I think, about 3 years, roughly, before they push any demands on us. We're up to 91% war score by that small victory in Devon. We brought across the entire army. Anamkea, there was a small enough battle. Dovdaleha, he's kind of down towards, he's not down towards the bottom, but he was, I think, one of the last 4 knights. Dovdaleha is serving in the army with his father, so the one that his father is commanding, this one here. So what are we going to do? We'll see where. Could we cut them off? Could we cut them off? We'll march across in that direction anyway. We're in a position to unlock a lifestyle perk. I think we will actually pause the game and take that, and we're probably going to try and engage this army as well. I've said it before, I do want the Gallant trait, but at the moment these 3 are promising prospects, might be of some benefit to us, but in general this line here isn't great. It looks like this war is going to come to an end. We're going to have a period at peace where we can try to rebuild the kingdom. So I think we'll go for courtship now. The only problem is there's nothing great there if you've already done the romance scheme. And actually, now that I come to think of it, our wife and soulmate, Elizabeth, is dead. So we could actually redo this romance scheme, but we're at max prestige. So I don't know. It looks like everyone is going into the battle. The Bretons have not withdrawn. They have 127 men in first of all. Now they're trying to withdraw. The Battle of Basingstoke. And there you go. As wars go, not the worst. It is the 1st of August, 1067, a year beyond the very latest date that I would have considered for bringing this game to an end. I think in my most delusional moments, I might possibly have thought about the year 1100, but generally 1066 I said was going to be as late as it goes. Well, we're into 1067. Force our demands to the obnoxious High King Ercaid. He complies with our demands, And Brittany, he's actually... We addressed this on a previous episode, the Dulburn, former royal Irish household. They've no lands in Ireland anymore, but they do have lands throughout England, but they have been driven out of Cornwall, so be it. This is what their poor old army was reduced to in the end, just down to 2 knights. Mats was up at the top with 33 kills. Where is Dovdolleha? There's Fulcari, doing a good old job. Our half-brother, that I just don't recognise him. Could you not at least put on a helmet? You're just wandering around in a beanie, is that it? Not entirely too sure why this guy is still in prison. He is a vassal of, or he's a courtier of our vassal. So we'll ransom him out for 50 quid. House Barry is the Dulburn house that ruled, well, it just ruled Devon. He is a son of, he's a nephew of the new Duke. So we're just gonna release him. We'll get a weak hook the way we don't lose any dread. A weak hook on a baby. And then the new Duke himself, Flahertuch, which is, or Flahertuch, which is where the Irish surname Flaherty comes from. So he's Flaherty Barry. What will we do with you? Ransom him to himself for 100. He has 325. He's grand, and he's getting a county. So we'll ransom him, and once he accepts, we're going to give him Cornwall. We're now up to minus 40 because of offensive wars. So it's a flat minus 70 to every single vassal. However, we do have a plus 20 because we are the living legend. So, really, that war actually massively improved things. It took us from, what were we? We were minus 62, and we're now minus 50. Things are getting better. Maybe we should have more wars. Can we become even more of a living legend? So we're going to grant this guy Cornwall. It should make him a bit happier. I'm just looking at his stats. He might be of some use to us in raiding some places. What a time to get a raider, just as we are preparing to go into the feudal age. The High King is now 51 years of age. His health is fine, because of course he is a drunkard. Now his aspiring Blademaster skills are kind of mitigating that a small bit. But we have a minus 40 penalty from our vassals, so we're going to need to try and get that under control somehow before we can go on with the next phase. So one of the first things we're going to do anyway is call a hunt, and we're probably going to witness a period of peace and prosperity in the kingdom as we hold off on our next plans. We need to get the army up. We can get them up to a max of just under 8,500. They're recouping 253 men a month. It's easily going to be a year, if not longer. I'd say I want to get that penalty down to about minus 20. And what perfect timing. Seems though Natfriach wouldn't join us. Let's go and invite some champions. We have the prestige. This is only the third time, I think, that we've captured a creature like this. You would think it a creature from myth, perhaps a god disguised in animal form. Its head will look beautiful in my Great Hall. We had a hunting trophy. We get more prestige. A trophy for my brother. Oh, we get opinion with him, or it will make a fine crown. Now his dread. Yeah, do you know what? We might as well bring it up to 100 just in case anyone's thinking of not being afraid of us. It's a pity he doesn't actually just start wearing a skull on his head. The hunt is drawing to an end. We prepare all the animals that we've captured and killed. We head back home wearing a skull on top of our head. And the sight is so terrifying that that faction, the Anglo-Saxon Catholic populace, that disbands at the sight of the High King wearing a boar's skull as a crown. Just terrifies them. So it was the Countess on the Isle of Wight who was the most terrified. She abandoned the scheme, the populist uprising. She abandoned that. Rhys, however, bless him, is making an attempt at independence. He is far too weak, and nobody else is joining him. He's standing there on his soapbox. He's screaming that the High King is a maniac. How can we, Anglo-Saxon Catholics, be ruled by this kind of a man? And he points over at the High King, and everyone looks over, and the king just taps the skull on top of his head. And everyone looks away awkwardly and doesn't make eye contact. We're walking around the castle. We're going to show our son, Brazil, our fancy new crown. And as we come near his chambers, we hear a horrifying scream, barely human and full of pain. I burst into the room, only to find Brazil collapsed in a heap on the floor, covered in blood. So here is our physician. We hired him in the last episode. He's our archbishop. He's in 18 learning. He hasn't gotten any physician traits as yet. The reality is that he's a bleeder, so he already has a severe health penalty. Unless he's just after getting this. I don't think so. No, that's why I have him on the learning education, keeping him away from the military life. We can chastise him. Learning goes up, prestige goes down. We all knew the risks. His opinion goes up. Put him in prison. I've never really come down to any of these ones. I think it's, look, this won't happen again, right? Also, what do you think of my crown? Our eldest son, I think he's our eldest son, is he? He's our second eldest son. He's had a daughter, and they want to name her Dovcovlig. We're getting a lot of these options now, and I'm wondering, is it because people were maybe complaining that they were taking over, they didn't have the option to name their grandchildren, so they were picking really awesome names like Green Graffador for their characters, and then they were having to play as their grandchildren who they had no name, no control over the name. So maybe that's why we're getting all these options. Dear God, imagine if this was installed when Flann Sinna was alive. May you grow strong and wise. A few quiet months after his treatment, I think actually the physician was also educating him. A few months later, he comes of age. Not very studious. He at least managed to memorize certain choice quotes from the classics. He will probably never write any great theorems, but he might read one or two. That's impressive. Reading is impressive in the tribal kingdom of Ireland. He's not great. Bless him, he's not great. I didn't really intend for this High King to be much of a party fiend, but it looks like we're going to have to hold a party. We don't need to lose any stress, we don't need to gain any prestige, but we do need the vassal opinion. We can see that there are more dangerous factions forming. They're not actually from vassals. One second, where are we? In factions. That independence faction is still going, and the Anglo-Saxon Catholic populace have formed another faction, and so have the peasant rabble. Discontent is 96. It would be great. Do you know what we do need? We do need more peasant leaders, though. We do need more peasant leaders. The guests are gathered in the great hall. Look at the distance that they all had to come from. The mood is bright. The spirits are high. I would agree with that. I think things are going pretty well. The feast begins. We see another knight answering our call. We're going to hire some of them shortly. What started as an ordinary feast became an exceptional one, thanks to the presence of Duke Aelgol or Aelgal. His father died from his wounds in one of our numerous battles. just short of 10 years ago. What a good evening. So that gives us plus 15 opinion, which is badly needed. Oh, lads, the wife is at it again. She's been on the sauce and she's gotten angry. After copious amounts of food and drink have been consumed, she's in the middle of a loud conversation. She turns to me as soon as she notices my presence, and your mere presence fouls this evening. Who else is going to be here? It's my party. We could have a fight with her. We are one of the greatest high kings, one of the greatest martial figures in Irish history, and we only have a 68% chance of winning. We could take an unmerciful amount of prestige and opinion off of her. I think we'll just do this one. We don't need the prestige. We don't need anything from that one. It's just an unfortunate argument with our wife. And our spy master has come to us to tell us that somebody is plotting to kill our archbishop and our physician. I wonder if it's our son. We must stop the villain behind this. And after all that, a great conversation with one of our vassals, an argument with our wife, party comes to an end, 20 opinion with every guest, and 150 prestige. Here is one of the knights who has offered his service to the kingdom. Look at this: aspiring blade master, novice hunter, robust, military engineer, rough terrain expert, misguided warrior. So he only has a 6 to martial, but 23 to prowess. His wife. Oh, lads. She's a leper. She's of House Rourke. I know there was... Son of a horse! I know there was a House Rourke. Did it split off from somebody at some stage? I don't think this is it. Her father was the mayor of Coventry at one stage. But yeah, we will recruit this guy to court. Here is Rumon, or Ruman. He's Breton. So we just defeated them in battle. And he's mad. So maybe he likes us. Maybe he thinks that we're his new legitimate liege because we won the war. Maybe he just wants to go where the winning is. Maybe he's just mad for battle. And now that Brittany has been defeated and driven out of the British and Irish Isles, he thinks maybe I should go to the Irish and they'll find battles for me. So we're going to hire this mad Breton. And with those 2 hires and our legendary status, we're up to 15 champions. But we've pushed out this young duke and our half-brother brother-in-law, Murcha. Now that he is no longer serving in the armies, he has changed back into... No, he hasn't. This is what he was always wearing. Murcha, how you didn't get yourself killed, I don't know. Well, this is a disappointment. We've been burdened with your oppressive laws for too long. No, you haven't. Never a peasant's lot is to serve their lord, etc., etc. Rally the troops. Pause the game. A 5. A 5. Now, yeah, I know 23 martial, skill tactician. Really? Could you not have sent me any better? Now, of course, we laugh at him. However, he has done something very interesting. He has put Norfolk under siege. He has put Athlone under siege. And he has put Lanarkshire under siege. So the army is going to be split in 3 separate directions. He's going to try and siege them down quickly. Let's see what kind of numbers he has. Oh, Eastmond. I've just started raising local soldiers. I have no idea how many soldiers are going to be in this. So I'm raising local in 2 areas. The High King is commanding that one. While we're here, actually, we can just see that England has gone on its first bit of an expansion. It's conquered this region up here in northern Wales. I just got the poor thing married as well. My perfect son, while Brazil bled to death on the 2nd of June, 1068, at just 16 years of age. What a tragic loss. I think that's our first child to die. Speaking of people dying. Oh no! Helgi of Hexham. Who the hell is this? A friend? Oh well. Yeah, we're not gonna forget you, Helgi of Hexham, wherever. Now, we have also lost our right hand. Our right hand has died. Wait, what? Ah, maybe this was our right hand. So I did see that we had that that skill or that stat. I wasn't too sure where it was coming from. It was giving us a bit of control growth, so maybe he was our right hand. The excitement, the utter excitement. The High King has gone in against, look at this, the Battle of Athlone. They didn't even put a commander in there. We'll send them up to Lanarkshire. And I have Mats Strangi commanding an army over here in Norwich. They didn't have any champions. Mats was also helping there. There's Sharaf on his first day. Sharif don't like peasants. Who else is there? I don't think there's anyone. I think actually all the knights are probably in one of the two armies. So this one mightn't do as well. This one mightn't do as well. There's Matt Strangi leading again though. This one's being commanded by the man himself. So hopefully, if we defeat him here, we might end up actually taking him prisoner, bringing this little escapade to an end. I was just thinking, and yeah, we can see it there. He actually has a 28 to command. He would be a tremendous commander. So of course I am going to recruit him. He's probably going to become our new marshal. I didn't see what that said. Either we wounded or we killed the guy that I was going to make a commander. And we also found some money down the back of the couch. 65 quid. Yep, there was no champions in that battle. We wounded Eastmond, so he's now down to a 3. He's brave though, bless him, he's brave. The High King marches into Scotland. We can see that a good chunk of the region is actually under siege from various different things. What is going on here is... Oh, those guys, the major power here, they're causing trouble. That's our nephew. That's the Duke of that area. And he is a bit problematic. So we'll stand down the army first of all. Or do we actually have to enforce a peace treaty? We haven't had a peasant revolt in a while, so I actually couldn't remember. Well, he was determined to fight for Catholicism. Now he will fight for insular Christianity, demand conversion and recruit. Poor old Thaigmoor has done a great job since arriving in our court. However, we are going to replace him. Has he... we did marry him off to somebody, but they haven't had children yet. We're going to replace him with Eastmund Henry, who is a 22 now. And hopefully he lives long enough to... What am I doing? Hopefully, what's his health like? Ah, he's fine. He's fine. You'll be grand. You'll be grand. So he is now going to train our commanders for the duration of our peace until we are ready to go to war again. Okay, we have a couple of pop-ups. Our eldest son, Coleman, has had a son who they want to name After his brother. Let's find a good Irish name. Let's find a good... I actually thought that was Cuchulainn for a second. Cahill! There you go. Yeah, I'm not gonna... No, we've had problems with Josephs before. The other thing is that Reese is now up to plus 50 with us, so I think we might actually... we might end that scheme to sway him any further. I'd say he's fine. We still haven't figured out who's trying to kill that ape. It wasn't our son, now that he's dead and that plot still exists. And our councillor, our long-standing councillor, Scanlon, has drank himself to death, which is kind of worrying for us. He was our chancellor for a lengthy period of time. He was one of the first people, I won't say he opposed our rule, but he rode a horse into the middle of our first ever feast that we held as soon as we were released from prison. So that's one of the things that drove us down the route of executing so many people, was to try and enforce our authority on the region. Look who's a good diplomat, our brother. But our brother likes us. Ercaid doesn't. He's a powerful vassal. I presume he wants a position on the council. He's just one less than our brother. And Dunaduk, who is... Where's Dunaduk? Dunaduk is our steward, so we will give it to Ercaid. It is the 1st of December, 1069. I think what we're going to do is spend another year at peace, preparing the armies. What are we looking at now? We're into a long reign, so that's giving a plus 13 bonus, along with Living Legend, so we're up to plus 23 to counter a minus 61 to everyone. Well, minus 81 to everyone because we're tribal. We are getting people on side. We're seeing a lot more green in terms of our vassals. The ones who are still negative, heavily negative, tend to be one county earls and things like that. So I think maybe if we leave it one more year, we're also still picking up numbers. We're up to 8,500. We're almost at full capacity. We should be there in a few months. So I think we're going to see out the year of 1069, and on the 1st of January 1070 we will begin the next phase, possibly the final phase, of trying to form the kingdom of the empire, I should say. I got confused because why the hell am I being told about this guy? I don't care. I'm not proud to see my son no longer as a child but an adult. I trained him. And then he went off and got himself a nun. Where has she gone to? I don't know where she's even gone to. Look at him now. A Catholic. Still poor Lambert. What am I supposed to do with this? Because of him, we're going to see the last bastion of insular Christianity on the continent fall. Bar that little... that. But yeah, if he converts that region, he's formed an alliance into, I have no idea, her brother is the Duke of a neighbouring duchy, so that's actually a very good idea. They could become quite powerful in that region. I think combined, they're just short of equaling their liege's military power. So maybe that's a plan. He is intelligent. Fair play to him. He's a forder. Oh, I thought that was, I was thinking of a reaver. I was going to say, that's not going to be much good to you. There are a good chunk of rivers there, so maybe that'll be of use to him, should it ever be needed. And now he's got married. Was I invited? Was I invited to the wedding? I don't care. So we've developed a sprouting interest. A merchant has sent me samples of seeds. Plants he claims are good for health and mind. I must admit, I have little experience in nurturing plants, but how hard could it be? So we have an option. We could, 20% we grow a lush garden. 60% the project fails. Do we gain this trait? Oh, I thought we were actually going to get the herbalist trait. It looks like we're going for Seeker of Knowledge. Learning +1. Ah, yeah, sure, how bad. There's no real negative penalty. And there we go. Seeker of Knowledge. Oh, we failed, but we learned a lot. We know, everyone knows, that there is a major campaign coming. We are training for it. I have ridden, taken aim, and struck so many times, I thought nothing could upset my rhythm. But he has grown careless. The horse has reared. We could play this safe. Lose 35 prestige. Oh no! Oh no, look at how absolutely terrible that would be. We could go for, calm down, 67% chance of success. We could gain exceptional rider. Light cavalry isn't something that we use a lot. They were never of great use in Ireland because of all the wetland. They're actually of good use in England because there's a lot of plains. We don't have a huge amount of them. 32% chance of getting wounded. Calm down, girl. Calm down. And it looks like we have indeed been wounded. Thrown to the hard-packed ground. The pain of the impact rushing through every bone in my body. So the High King, just a few months out from battle, gotten a big gash across. Oh, it's grand. It's fine. Never mind. Our nephew, Gilaforic, Flann. Also, he'd be Flann's son. Kind of says it there in the name. But I was looking at this guy and I was like, who the hell is this? This is my brother. He's proposed an alliance. He's shy, so it's going to cause some stress to him. So he desperately wants it. He's created his own house, I think. He's the head of the house anyway. Céad Cathach Boston. We will accept. Here is a random duke that we are trying to appease, to try and get him up into positive territory. What are we at now? Minus 29 for offensive wars. Dear God, it's going down slowly. The long reign, did we just get or lose a point? I can't remember. And also our tyranny penalty is going down as well, which is actually really good. We'll stay for a while. We'll stay for a while to help him out with his castle. A library where the books are stacked in corners, unfinished building project all over the place. Most notably a whole dining hall. And a chest of gold just standing in the middle of a hallway. Duke Urgal's castle is a mess. Now we have all these different kind of options that depend on our strengths. Sadly, we can't stick anything with a knife or a sword. We can't attack anything. I'd like to attack the books. We could clean up the library by killing the books. The best that we have is a 75% chance of the books, the poor books. He's a man of learning, and he's gotten some learning because he's been eating seeds recently. So we'll go with that. I don't think we succeeded there. I think we failed. So we're gonna maybe point out that he has a big box of unguarded gold. We had more success this time. He realizes that an unguarded chest of gold shouldn't be left in the middle of the hallway. Because, I mean, somebody could trip over it. That's an insurance issue waiting to happen. I don't know what public liability is like in 1069. Yeah, sure, we'll help with the stewardship challenge. Our stats aren't all that bad. 63% chance of success. We might as well try and take it. We did not succeed there either, I don't think. We've done all that we can to help him. Now it is time for bed. We're on our way home. We spot the Duke at the entrance, waiting to see me off. And as I walk up to him, I hear him muttering to himself, he really messed the place up. And ruined my library and my dining hall. E-hum. That's definitely not Irish. With a quick goodbye. We're on the road. Loses 10 opinion. Ah, damn it. And in the midst of all that, we have learned of a cannibal secret We've married one of our knights to a cannibal. Sorry about that. To a degree, we don't have any great options here. To a degree, maybe we do have a great option. So this is probably out for now. Again, light cavalry, heavy cavalry. We don't have a lot of cavalry. Hit and run, heavy infantry. Naval speed and siege weapon effectiveness. Bringing sieges to an end quickly and possibly maneuvering about by boat quickly. These are two things which might be important to us in the next conflict. So we will go for engineered for destruction. We would be very close to finishing off this branch if we had just gone down that way, but I don't think at what's he now into his early 50s, I don't think we're going to be getting the achievement for finishing off all of the trees in a single lifestyle, unless we get a lot of stuff here. It's roughly taking 2 years per perk. So we've 4 over here, we have, that's 9, that's 10, 20 years, if he lives into his early 70s. To keep him alive into his early 70s, we could come over here and finish off this tree, first of all. We have another grandchild, Dovdeel. May you grow strong and wise. Duke Dag. I remember giving out about Duke Dag once upon a time. Duke Dag when sieging us. Now, you got what you deserve, Duke Dag. I think he was killed in the battle as well. We've done a bit better swaying our Duke. He was even killed by the King of Sweden. Haha, now Duke Dag, you divil. I hope that is the same Duke Dag, and that I'm not throwing slanderous accusations at somebody. We found out who has been scheming against our Archbishop. It's a Norse pagan, Starkadar, in Lothian, which is of course one of our duchies that we hold. He hates us for that very reason, I believe. Liege holds a de jure duchy, -25. Foreign culture, penalty. We got hold of Lothian by imprisoning our... oh god, I don't even know what he was. Moelon, and stripping his counties from him, or stripping the entire duchy from him. Starkadar, you're a bit of a troublemaker. You're going into prison. Now, he's not going to be too happy with us. We're going to gain stress because we're generous. We revoke Lothian. And we revoke that place. Now we're overwhelmed by stress, but we do have a plan. I did find a branch of the family that doesn't have land. They are descendants of Cornwall. I don't know if they got... did they get the Isle of Man or did they get the Duchy of Lancaster? But one of the two of them was taken off of them by Cosroch. Now he won't come to our court. What are we going to do? Are we going to sway him? No, we'll just use a hook. We have a hook in him because apparently we know that he is a deviant. We will invite him to court. And there you go. He's arrived in our court instantaneously. And now we will grant him... we will grant him Lothian. And we will grant him... this one, that I'm not too sure on the pronunciation of. The eventual aim will be for us to seize this region here, Suffolk, and that's part of East Anglia, which we will form as a duchy, and then to hand over the remaining county that we have in Lothian, and hand over the duchy as well. I think because of all those shenanigans, we've lost 1,000 soldiers. We still have a fantastic number of men, but we lost about 1,000 soldiers. Now, let's see what this stress does to us. Oh, He's being assailed by erotic fantasies. Maybe he doesn't know it, but they're the same erotic fantasies that used to hit his grandfather, Flann Sinna. I'm not too sure if he knows that he's a grandson of Flann Sinna's or not. We could convert to orthodoxy. We lose 49 stress, become reclusive, which will not in any way impact our important stats. We'll get a little remote control, and we will operate the siege machinery from a distance. I will sequester myself to avoid temptation. It is the 1st of January, 1070. The army stands at 7,700 troops. The first thing we're going to do is take a stiff drink. We have a lot ahead of us. We need to get down some of that stress. Lose 32, not too shabby. What's rather interesting is that England has just declared war for Hertford, so they are raising their army. At the same time, we will declare a war. We had a subjugation war at one stage. That looks to have gone. I haven't used the subjugation anywhere. I should have maybe checked this first of all. Looks like our subjugation war is gone. Well, we'll just have to do an invasion of the kingdom. We will declare war for the Kingdom of England. Rather ominously, I don't know if you heard it there, I was interrupted by a bit of a hail shower. I wonder what that says, and as you can see, the King of England has 3,700 troops in Surrey. We're raising our armies in Berkshire. One of them is right on the border. He could possibly come across and give us a hammering. So maybe we've caught the armies a bit too close. I was holding off from moving on to the feudal age. Well, first of all, our economy is going to get absolutely hammered, but also because I needed that subjugation war, and yeah, it was gone. I had a feeling I would have attempted to subjugate England with Ruacon, but he must have wasted his subjugation war. I made sure not to use it. So I'm not too sure what happened there. We did at one stage have the ability to subjugate England, but not anymore. We've gone for a full invasion. We have called in every single ally that we have. I'm going to unpause the game. We're going to start recruiting our forces, and hopefully we can get them up to capacity before England starts thinking of doing anything. Is it moving in against us? It's not. It's also trying to raise its forces. We're going to get a lot of these notifications now about our allies coming in. Only problem is that's going to drop us well below 2,000 prestige. We've called in a substantial chunk of allies. I think to be on the safe side, we're still with our fairly large enough war chest, 2,500. I think we need 1,200 to form the empire, so anything beyond that is basically for mercenaries. For now, we will just bring in the Gaul Oglig. They'll be recruited in Dublin. I was thinking of actually just leaving them there to defend Dublin from naval invasion. That's why we took that ability to move quickly by sea, but what I might actually do is bring them across. Now this is a rather bizarre scenario. Here in red is one of our vassals, Rhys, the Duke of Huiche, which we gave to him in this episode. He's hostile to us. He's defending against the King of England's attempts to take this region, so he's allied with them, but because we are attacking the King of England, we're hostile to him. I presume if we take England, we're going to end up at war for this region. Oh yeah, I forgot about that. What are we going to do? My initial plan was to put people in control of the army. That would be a great idea. The High King, of course, gets the onagers, as always. And what's the other army that we have there? Okay, we'll try again. The High King gets the onagers, as always. My idea was to send them in a lightning strike at Surrey, but the High King's army has moved off in this direction. We're going to move them into Surrey first of all. I think we have to, or we could move them up in this direction. We'll move them to Surrey. and we will see what we can do from there. We have almost immediately pulled our forces out of the siege. We've lost a couple of hundred casualties and we haven't done anything. Our hope is to... Do you know what? If we could hit that army, it'd be fine. The trailing army. If we could split the armies, that'd be fine. What we're going to do is we're going to bring these guys over to here. We've massive armies wandering around, causing big losses in terms of manpower. Pushing through areas we've easily lost. We've lost close to 1,000 troops and we haven't actually done anything, I'd say. The hope is to basically sit back and just let these guys fight amongst themselves. And then we are going to send our armies in towards the end of the battle. I think we should be in a position to send them in now. The numbers are equal. They've just managed to get away. I don't know if we're going to hit them. It would be fantastic if one of their armies got out and then we hit them with the other one. Nope. This is it. I think we have the advantage. The High King is commanding. As our mercenaries siege down English territory in northern Wales, Rumon, mad Rumon, was killed in his first battle. Mancoin has been killed. 2 great knights slaughtered, but it is a victory. We have captured some combatants. We are already up to a 6% war score. Our allies, you can just see them, over to the east, are beginning to land. And now we are left to decide what we are going to do. Obviously, we're going to have to take a look at that battle. The Battle of Worcestershire. Matt Strangi, 87 kills. There's the Duke of... the son of Carlos of Essex, a former head of the family. We managed to... Quillen accepted his vassalization when he became the King of England. If we come down through the list, one of their knights was killed by Fóchorte. Another was slain by Matt Strangi. Tig Moore was wounded. Dovdaleha, our son Dovdaleha, has been wounded. Rumon was killed by Carlos' son. And... oh, we're going to have to watch him. He's going to be one to watch out in future battles. He killed 2 of our knights. We managed to kill 2 of theirs. We have taken 1 prisoner. Yeah, they've wounded a couple of our top knights and a couple of our dukes. We were maybe a touch overconfident. I had brought across our mercenaries. They were sieging down part of northern Wales. And Flanders has come in to surprise them. I think Flanders is going to hit them. We're going to bring our army across and deal with the aftermath. If we could knock Flanders out of the conflict quickly, that'd be great. If our vassals manage to get out, or not our vassals, our mercenaries, that is fantastic. Save the money. Save the money. Now, I think Flanders is moving pretty quickly. And we are not, even though we should have a movement bonus. We're going to go up and into that battle. Who's actually commanding? The captain of the Gologlig. And then we can see over there on the right hand side more allies are coming in to join us. Are we going to get in time? Just about, just about. Strangi has wounded their commander. I think we can see the English have regrouped and they're coming up on the east. More allies coming in from the west. Just before we go on any further, Interestingly, we're just going to end up taking England. We're not going to take that part of Wales or the 2 counties that they hold in Scotland. We should be able to get those. But this is what the war looks like. They've brought in Flanders. So they've brought in a chunk of West Francia. We've brought in various chunks of East Francia and Lothringia. Is our son actually in this war? No, Metz is. I thought that our son might be around here. Our son, I think, is the only part of Upper Lorraine that isn't helping. So this is the entire battlefield. And this region. We do have overwhelming numbers, but actually getting them out onto the field is the thing. As always, what would a battle be without a battle? Do we need to drop some stress? We're at 34. A couple of more deaths could put us in trouble. We will lose 35 prestige and 56 stress. I think that's what we will do in that case. The English have realized that everything's going wrong for them. We've discovered that our champion is plotting against the Archbishop. Is he still our champion? He's not. He's left. Oh no, I think he's fighting in the battle. He's around here somewhere. Even more allies are landing. The English are going to be able to march up, or they're going to be able to match up with Flanders. Somebody has decided to create a cadet branch of the family, the Caedcach Wigtown. We're going to see if we can hit the English army. If not, I was going to see if we could come down for Flanders. I thought they were coming across in this direction. We do have a bit of an advantage on them, and of course they are coming in against our other vassals that they have already actually imprisoned. Now the problem is that if we come in against our vassals, we'll end up actually attacking them. Our Marshal, Eastmond, possibly feeling sad because he got one of our... Oh, because he's useless and 2 of our knights have died. He is telling us about somebody that we want on our side. He's at 12. He's not great. He's not bad. We'll, sure, he can serve us. The English have turned around. They're heading south back towards Middlesex. Our daughter, Bin Miada, has come of age. Not too shabby with the money, but the stats aren't great. They grow up so fast. And we are a bit caught in this war at the moment. The English are coming back towards us. I actually forgot to, in all the excitement, to look at that last battle. We killed one of Flanders' knights. We killed 2 of Flanders' knights. Sean of Surrey. And one of them died from internal injuries, or he died from his wounds in the aftermath. Are we seeing anybody around that we recognize from any counties that we recognize? I don't think so. I think these are all new to us. Here's one of the knights. I'm sure that we're hiring 2 of them because they were in holding the battlefield for a considerable period of time. There's Carlos. We haven't gotten a pop-up that Dovdaleha is dead yet. He's still wounded, but his health is fine. It's an aggravated wound. It's an aggravated wound. Dovdaleha, if there is any hope of you one day sitting on the Imperial throne, you will keep fighting. And I think the English are going to give battle. The forces are going to come in slowly but surely. We have 7,000 there. The Duke of Man has been killed. And again, by Carlos's son. We have another grandchild, Lennon. May grow to be strong and wise. We'll slow this down because there are updates coming in thick and fast. We thought we were doing well. Do you know what? The English are turning the tide a bit. I think we're going to have overwhelming numbers come in as our allies arrive. Tide Moore has wounded somebody. I think one of our allies did indeed. They actually got stuck fighting our vassals there to the west, and I think Flanders is going to go around maybe to hit them. Dovdaleha has wounded somebody. Good man yourself. The final few blows. We should hit them out of the way. And we're going to see if we can... Again, these are actually... They're not vassals of us. Vassals. These are our vassals. But these guys are actually the army of this region here. We're gonna try and swing the army around and cut off Flanders. The hail continues to fall and continues to be picked up by the mic. So you might hear it every once in a while before we continue on. Poor Courtship killed in that battle, slain by Aoife, I think, Mac Carlos of Essex. Look at his history. His father, Cornwall, died from his wounds. His grandfather, Flann Sinna II, had his head ripped off. His other grandfather actually was also slain in battle. And of course then, there's Flann Sinna II. His father, so Courtship's great-grandfather, died from his wounds. And then there was Flann Sinna, the High King, died from complications related to obesity. So is that 4 generations of the family have died in battle? And you might remember I gave Lancaster... I can't remember who the hell I gave Lancaster to. I'm certain it was Cornwall. It was, yeah. Because I wanted to keep the family some way strong and stable when I took the inner Hebrides off of them. But the dedication that this family has given to the kingdom, to the empire. Now we have his son, Olcón. Shock horror, he hates me. Offensive Wars is up into -30. And so he's gotten the Isle of Man, and Lancaster has gone to a Baba. The poor Baba. He's only 4. Heavy casualties on all sides. Matt's leading the attack for us. Sharif. Ercaid. Fóhorta. Here is somebody that is employed by the Gol Oglig. There's Owen. Paig Moore. Murdoch. Dovdaleha. Again, 21 kills. Not too shabby. Sean of Surrey. Doved. And then some of our allies. Poor Courtship. 3 kills before he was slain. There's a county at least, if not a duchy, for the man that brings me his head. We're maneuvering the armies in all sorts of directions. I think about 8,000-10,000 of our forces are moving north. Dovdaleha, what a year it's been for you. The birth of your 3rd daughter. Oh no, 2nd daughter, sorry. This daughter and this daughter are the same daughter. Birth of his 2nd child, Ben Ulib. May you grow to be strong and wise. And he also got to serve in the armies. We're gonna come up. We're gonna catch Flanders again. We're suffering heavy casualties as we're going through these regions. I think we're just going to wander straight into the battle and attack everyone that's in there. Flanders might have been making an attempt to get out of there. I'm not too sure. So many forces moving in now. I'm not even certain what's happening. They've just managed to get out of the way. We see, oh Lord, the Sami. The Sami have heard of what's going on and they're coming raiding. They're coming raiding. England is being forced to retreat very far north, which is good and bad because it might mean that they might start sieging down areas in that region. They're coming back down. I think some of our forces have started sieging somewhere. I'm certain we'll be able to hit Flanders before they go out to sea. And if we could hit them before they do that, before they meet up with the English. It's getting tense. Who's gonna get in first? Okay, we just about managed. Now, some of our forces are going to miss out in the battle. I'm hoping they don't take the reinforcements with them. Because it's not the High King, it's the mercenaries and the High King, I think, have gone into the main battle. One of the mercenaries is making his money. Do you know what? We're not doing great. It's a good thing we have these mercenaries and these allies. We just started to turn it just before the rest of the forces came in towards the end for a big push. Now, it's all well and good to be holding the battles like that, suffering heavy casualties before our men come in, but if we suffer too many of those, we're going to see the armies being depleted. I think the English have actually had to stand down one of their armies. There in the last few blows, I think we've had 300 casualties. He's dead, let him die. We are at 33% war score. And we haven't sieged a single place. I remember when I thought that we were going to lightning siege Surrey. And so, on what are we into? Christmas Eve? 1070, almost a year into this war, we set off down south to try and catch the English army, and if we can catch them, we will probably park ourselves in this region for a while and go sieging. Let's take a look at that battle. The battle for Christmas. It was the High King's army and the mercenaries who got in first, so that would have meant that Dovdaleha was in there from pretty early on. And then Mats would have come in later on, and Sharif and Tig Moore. So we're seeing, look at this for a list of names. Ah, lads. Could you not have killed someone? I thought for a second that everyone was heading for Surrey, but it looks like the English have decided. I keep calling them the English. Look at this for the losses that we're going to suffer. Look at this for the losses that we're going to suffer. I think it's one way or another. And so the war goes into its first year. The English are pulling back to Surrey. And they are continuing beyond that. We might very well have to park ourselves and begin sieging Surrey if they continue to move out of this area. Look at this for just a disparate group. And I think, am I right in saying, holy hell, the Gold Oblig are down from about, what was it? Was it 1,700? 1,500? They're down to 400 men. They've earned their money today. In the midst of battle, our son Ruokon comes of age. I think we trained him in the martial lifestyle. Whether we did or didn't, no, we trained him as an intrigue in the intrigue lifestyle. But whether we trained him or not, he has 11 prowess, and a hat has been put on his head. Happy birthday, you're going straight into the army. I'm going to raise some reinforcements and attach them. With our son coming of age, and with the hiring of a new knight, David, we've knocked out poor old Sean of Surrey. Olcón, Khosruk's son. So what's he now? He's the new Duke of Man. Could this be generation 5 of the family to die in battle? David, we've married him off to a widow. Mancoin's wife. Oh, lads. This is getting hectic. The High King is sieging Surrey. I think the English might be bringing their armies either around to finish off that battle there. Hereford, fair play to them, are leading 6,000 troops on a merry dance with only 229. So we're going to try to siege down the capital. See what that does for our war score, which has actually been dropping with the last few minutes, I think. Cambridgeshire is under siege, so they're moving their armies up after those guys. I have my troops kind of somewhat gathering numbers. Oh wow, the Gol Oglig are down to 297 men. We raised all of our levies, 45 men. Mets are sending in another 27. I'd say they're pushing for Surrey. As are we. If we can take Surrey, we will pull out of there. If it had come to it, the High King would have been in a position, well, maybe not the High King. We have 1,900 troops stationed there. We have another 4,000 to come in. We have another 1,500. He would have been able to hold on, as 6,000 troops marched in against him. The High King would have been able to hold that area. But for the second time in history, the High King has managed to siege down an area and bring a war to an end with an overwhelming force bearing down on top of him. We will come to our distant relative, Cullen. I know we had 11,000 soldiers at one stage. I think we might even have had 14. We're down to 12,000. It looks like what the max was. We've lost a quarter of the capacity. 17 months. 17 months to conquer the Kingdom of England. We will enforce our demands. To the vile High King Ercaid, may your years be short and miserable. You are a much greater foe than I imagined. In order to put an end to this bloodshed, I will comply with your demands. So be it. Moelon is still styling himself as the King of England. He's currently in a war, so we're not in a position to usurp the Kingdom of England from him. There are a couple of holdout areas. Somerset. I don't know, has Huicha declared independence? It has not. It was just looking a bit weird. So if we scroll out, here now is the kingdom at its greatest extent ever. I need to usurp the Kingdom of England. And we also need to get our prestige up. So possibly, before we stand the armies down, we'll have to stand them down one way or another. But we do need to get some prestige. And also we have a lot of land to hand out. With Moelon stuck in a war, these 3 counties stuck in a war for this region over here, it could be a long time before he is at peace, and we're in a position to usurp his crown. We also need to put together some prestige. And there's still a lot of things that could go wrong. We're now 55 years of age. Our health is fine, but we are a drunkard, and members of the family have drank themselves to death in the past. For today, I'm going to bring this episode to an end. I'm going to look at who we are going to give out these 5 counties to. That will include taking one of them. We have a lot of sorting out to do down here. What are we going to do with you? What are we going to do with you? Caed Cahach Ipswich. What are we going to do with you? We don't have him in our prison. Possibly we could bring him around to being a loyal vassal. We're going to be taking some land off of him because I need it to form a duchy for myself. That's the most important thing. The Kingdom of Ireland is at its greatest extent and is now an empire in all but name. We still have that button to press, and we're not exactly in a position to do it just yet. Thank you for joining me on this episode, and I hope you will join me on the next one, when we should be in a position to officially crown Ercaid as emperor.